My name is James Monroe. I'm 42 years old, and I've spent over 2 decades chasing freedom in the skies. The sky has always been my greatest love, my escape, and my sanctuary. While other kids dreamed of becoming firefighters, police officers, or doctors, I dreamed of soaring through the clouds. That endless blue, the whisper of the wind against the fuselage, the deep, rumbling hum of engines for me, that was life itself. But in pursuing this passion, I've always felt the weight of what I left behind. My wife, Emily, the woman who greeted me with a smile every time I walked through the door, the mother who raised my children with unwavering love and patience. Lily, 17, a free spirit with a mind full of dreams. Sam, 12, quiet and thoughtful, always observing the world around him. And little Ben, just 8, with his wide eyes full of innocence and wonder. They are my world, but also my greatest regret. As a pilot, I've spent most of my life above the clouds, but every landing, every descent, has a gravity of its own, pulling me back to the reality of a family I've neglected. Over the years, that distance, both physical and emotional, slowly eroded the bonds between us. But nothing could have prepared me for the storm I would face the day I returned from my London to New York flight. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed that Emily's red car was missing from the garage. I stepped inside the house and was met with an unusual, unsettling silence. The warmth, the familiar chaos of family life was gone. On the kitchen table, I found a note in Emily's neat handwriting. James, I can't do this anymore. I have always loved you, but this life has become too much for me. Please take care of the kids. Those words hit me like a knife to the heart. In that moment, years of neglect, distance, and unspoken words crashed down on me. I ran to the kids' rooms. Lily was curled up on her bed, tears streaming down her face. Sam stared silently out the window. Little Ben clutched his teddy bear, his big, questioning eyes staring up at me. I pulled them close, trying to comfort them, but my own tears betrayed me. For the first time, all the calm, the control, the steady nerves I had trained for in the cockpit meant nothing. In my quest to touch the skies, I had somehow lost everything that truly mattered. Weeks had passed since Emily disappeared. The silence in the house grew heavier each day, pressing down on me like the weight of a descending aircraft. Mornings became a struggle to get the kids out of bed, and evenings were spent around a dinner table where the only sounds were the clinking of cutlery and the occasional sigh. Our home had become just a building. The warmth, the life, the soul of it had vanished with Emily. I couldn't stop thinking about the early days with her. The day we first met in the university library, our late night walks through the campus, the way her eyes sparkled when she laughed. She had been my anchor, the one who believed in me when I was just a young, aspiring pilot. But now, those memories felt cold and distant, like the echo of a forgotten song. One evening, as I sat in the airport lounge waiting for my next flight, my phone buzzed. Mark's name flashed on the screen, and a strange, uneasy feeling crept over me. I opened the message, and my heart dropped. It was a photo. Mark and Emily, their hands intertwined, both smiling as the sun set behind them, painting the sky in shades of red and orange. They looked happy, too happy. Below the image, just one line: some secrets fly higher than the clouds. My hands started to shake. My face grew hot. My heart pounded like a runaway engine. Mark, my old friend, Emily's first love. I had almost forgotten. Back in our university days, Mark had been the one who first fell for Emily, the one who had tried to win her heart before I did. And now, he had somehow found his way back to her. How had this happened? How had I lost her? Had I been so blinded by my career, so lost in the clouds, that I had missed the signs? I felt a wave of guilt, a sickening realization that my neglect might have driven her into his arms. But that guilt quickly turned to anger. I had faced storms, engine failures, and near-death experiences in the cockpit. This would be no different. I would stay calm, focused, and ruthless. Mark had taken my wife, betrayed my trust, and shattered my family. He would pay for this, not just financially. I would erase him from this world. In that moment, my plan for revenge started to form. I would use every trick, every connection, every ounce of my skill as a pilot to take him down. This would be the most calculated flight of my life, but this time, there would be no safe landing. After seeing that photo, my anger settled into a cold, calculating silence. I hadn't just lost my wife. I had been betrayed by the man I once called my closest friend. But this rage didn't blind me, it sharpened my mind, honed my instincts. As a pilot, I had been trained to stay calm in a crisis, to keep my wits about me when things went wrong. This would be the most dangerous flight of my life, but this time, there would be no landing. I started digging into Mark's past. I thought back to our university days, the bar fights, the late-night flight simulator marathons, the stupid bets we made. Back then, Mark had wanted to be a pilot just like me, but while I reached for the skies, he had chosen a darker path, rooting himself in the underworld of finance and deception. I reached out to David, an old friend and former cybersecurity expert. He had spent years working for the government, decrypting codes and exposing hidden networks. If anyone could help me unravel Mark's web, it was him. David got back to me within days. "James, this guy's finances are a mess," he said, his voice a mix of concern and excitement. "Mark's accounts are full of shell companies, offshore accounts, and phantom investors. He's running a full-scale financial maze." As we dug deeper, we realized that Mark's flight school was nothing more than a front for a massive money laundering operation. High-interest loans, fake students, offshore accounts. Mark wasn't just a pilot, he was a financial predator, a parasite leeching off the lives of others. And then I found it, Emily's name. Mark had used her identity to create shell companies, drain credit scores, and funnel millions through offshore accounts. She wasn't just his lover, she was his financial prisoner, trapped in a web of debt and deceit. Mark had ensnared Emily in a toxic, all-consuming relationship, one built on manipulation and control. He had pulled her into his twisted world, using her trust as both a shield and a weapon. This revelation only fueled my rage. I would destroy Mark, not just financially, but in every aspect of his life. I would make sure his name was erased, his legacy forgotten, his existence reduced to nothing more than a ghost on the radar. This was my new flight plan, a direct course to his downfall. And I wouldn't stop until he was wiped from the skies. Taking Mark down financially wasn't enough. I needed to erase him completely, wipe his existence from this world. This wasn't just about revenge, this was about destroying the man who had shattered my family and betrayed my trust. To pull this off, I needed help. I reached out to Tom, an old friend and former air traffic controller. He had spent years guiding planes through storms, avoiding mid-air collisions, and managing crises. If anyone could help me manipulate a flight path without raising suspicion, it was him. At first, Tom hesitated. He knew the risks, but when I told him about Mark's betrayal, how he had manipulated Emily, driven my family apart, and used my own wife against me, Tom's doubts faded. We intercepted Mark's flight plan. It was a high-risk, long-distance cargo run, exactly the kind of desperate move a man on the edge would take. We rerouted his flight through the Bermuda Triangle, a place known for its electromagnetic anomalies, sudden storms, and navigational chaos. Mark, unaware of the trap, took off with his cargo, heading straight into the abyss. But simply changing his route wasn't enough. I had arranged for a Cold War-era signal jammer to be installed on his plane, a device designed to scramble GPS signals, cut off radio communication, and disrupt flight controls. Mark would feel safe, secure, untouchable right up until the moment his world fell apart. As his plane climbed into the sky, I listened through my headset. I heard his voice, calm, confident, completely unaware of the chaos that awaited him. When he reached the open ocean, I activated the jammer. His GPS cut out, his compass spun wildly, and his instruments flashed red with error messages. The calm, measured voice I had known for years cracked with panic. Tango Alpha 472, ground control. Respond. Signal loss. All systems failing. Damn it. Mayday. Mayday. Ocean. Coordinates. Can anyone hear me? And then, silence. His plane vanished from the radar, swallowed by the storm and the sea. Mark was gone, a ghost, a forgotten echo in the vastness of the ocean. I had taken my revenge. But as I sat there, headphones still humming with static, I felt a strange, hollow emptiness. I had erased Mark, but in doing so, I had erased a part of myself as well. Weeks had passed since Mark's disappearance. At first, I felt a sense of relief as if I had finally removed the shadow threatening my family. But as the days turned into nights, and the nights into weeks, that relief gave way to something else, a heavy, hollow loneliness. It was as if a part of me had vanished with Mark. In the early days, the memory of that night, the sound of his final, frantic radio call filled me with a strange satisfaction. I had erased him, wiped him from the skies, sent him to the depths of the ocean where no one would ever find him. He was a ghost, lost to the waves, forgotten by time. But then, something unexpected happened. One morning, I found a thick, unmarked envelope in my mailbox. Inside was a dossier from Tom. The cover page held a single line: "Sometimes, ghosts come back." I opened the file, my hands trembling slightly. Inside were financial records, encrypted messages, and offshore account statements, all linked to Mark's shadowy empire. But what truly shook me was the section about Emily. Mark had manipulated her for years, using her as a pawn in his schemes. He had trapped her in a financial web, drained her credit, and laundered millions through accounts in her name. She wasn't just his lover, she had become his financial prisoner, a silent accomplice in his crimes. My chest tightened as I read through the files. Emily, the woman I had loved, the mother of my children, had been part of this dark world all along. She wasn't just a victim, she had become part of Mark's twisted empire. One rainy evening, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a woman barely recognized. Her hair was wet, her eyes hollow, her face etched with years of guilt and regret. It was Emily. For a moment, neither of us spoke. She just looked at me, her eyes searching mine, her lips trembling as she finally found her voice. "James," she whispered, her voice a fragile, broken thing. "I know what you did. I know Mark's disappearance wasn't an accident." For a second, I felt the world shift beneath me. I looked into her eyes, saw the fear, the regret, the shattered remnants of the woman I once loved. But I said nothing. I simply closed the door, letting the rain and the ghosts of our past linger outside. I had taken my revenge, but at what cost? I had erased Mark, but I had also erased a part of myself. The sky, once my sanctuary, now felt like a cage, a place where I would forever be haunted by the shadows of the lives I had destroyed.